past 3 years, every kid that started with us is now on top teams. Okay? Think of it this way. There were kids that were in the game a long time. And this isn't to say I never made mistakes. That's not to say. It's to say that there are kids that came to Passionate Motivation Volleyball. Me and my staff really took the time to give these kids an opportunity. Train them in the fundamentals.
Yeah, fundamentals.
And now, all those kids from 3 years ago are some of the top players on some of these teams. Now, you can't look at that as a coincidence. The thing is that many programs, and you have to deal with this too, many programs are not going to focus on the beginners. They're going to just kind of give them a ball, focus on the advanced. The beautiful thing about our programs is we focus on the beginner so that that beginner can go on and do things that they never knew that they could do. And that's a beautiful thing that we do.
Yeah, that's a round of applause. It's a round of applause.
I just feel like the Holy Spirit's really leading us today.
Always, the Holy Spirit is always leading us. I mean,
this is so
good. You got to keep God first and all that you do. Right? At the end of the day, God is first. No one is perfect, but God is first. At the end of the day. So that's what it's about. You got to keep God first. You got to have a personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
Your relationship with God is personal, but you got to have one.
Mm-hmm.
Because we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't, for God. For us keeping God first. This wouldn't even happen.
I wouldn't even be in this gym.
We wouldn't even. There you go. There would be no point to be. We wouldn't even be here. The favors that we get, the opportunities that we get, all the good things. It's all about God first.
Hallelujah.
And that's what it's about. So, but at the same time, but we know there's practical things that we have to do in terms of life and things like that. Because sometimes people will hear, somebody's talking about God that you can take advantage. Nah, you can't try to take advantage because from experience, because dealing with the world, there's people for us and people against us. This is the same thing with, for example, people coming into our organization. Like I said, I've seen it all right now. I mean, I have 3 teams, possibly 4. I have about 3 coaches, right? 3 coaches right now. 3 coaches right now. So, but I've seen coaches come in here trying to run my program, trying to tell me that I don't know what I'm doing, or trying to compete with me. But I don't compete because my thing is, I'm focused on there's competition, but if you have to know there's competition. But at the end of the day, everybody has a purpose. So everybody, when we talk about impact, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has a purpose. So, like for example, there's other organizations. I'm not going to throw their name in the podcast, but there's other organizations around here that got the basketball program, and they do a great job, but they're needed for what they do. I'm needed for what I do.
Yeah.
So, which meaning we're not really competing with each other. And that's one thing I think we had a conversation today. I was like, there's nothing to worry about in terms of others here. We need to know what they're doing, but our mission and our task and our assignment is completely different because we're training different kids. And I want to kind of touch on what you said about kids coming into your program, you building the fundamentals. Once we build the fundamentals, and especially when there's great fundamentals, kids can go anywhere and have success because it's the fundamentals.
And I want to tag on to that. With what we do comes the fact that we are not going to be appreciated the way that maybe we would like to be appreciated. Maybe maybe somebody will appreciate us along the way, but really ultimately, a lot of times when you're producing beginner players and you're teaching them the fundamentals, the people, the coaches that are going to get the glory, so to speak, are when they're winning those state championships, when they're winning those championships. But all along, we know what we did.
Yeah.
And I think that was really hard for me at first because I was excited to see a lot of my kids went on winning medals in club, and I'm like, I worked so freaking hard with that kid, and I should have gotten the medal, and then I felt all these kind of ways, and I wanted to prove myself, but then I was like, to God be the glory, because that kid gets to be happy. That kid gets to be happy and gets to experience that, and they put in the work, and that kid is always going to know who helped produce them.
Yes, and that's the wisdom in me, right? I think some of my genius is that I do understand, and I think I think the issue we forget is everybody have their own village, which is their own club. By not knowing, it takes a village to raise a child, which meaning within the village you got different homes, or whether it's different institutions. We can use school, different classrooms, so the kids will learn from different people. But at the end of the day, everybody played a role. Like you played a role, so there's a time for everything. There's a purpose for everything.
Yeah.
But that kid don't have to stay in that one environment.
Right.
And I think even parents, they don't understand actually that's what's going on. Like I always tell parents,
they don't.
They don't. And I always tell parents, I don't have a problem with you moving to another organization.
Right.
But I'm just going to provide you information, but also I would like to know what's your reason. Why you want to move over there? Because sometimes parents make the wrong decision in terms of why they want to move and things like that. Now, if you're making the right decision, that's fine. You can move. I've had kids leave our program, come back. Kids will stay with us. We do have some announcements that we want to make. Some announcements.
Good stuff today.
Oh yeah,
Good stuff.
We want to share. So it definitely was great. I think as always that first one's like a warm up.
Yeah, but that was a heck of a warm up. That's been stuff I've been wanting to say for 3 years.
But the power of two.
Yeah.
The power of two is very important because sometimes you just can't do it as individually, but then you might have a partner who might say, "Hey, let's go. I got this."
I want to finish off by saying something.
Yeah.
There is power in two.
Yeah, do you want to share anything about some of the things that you're working on in terms of things that you want people to get?
Yeah.
You want to you can take some
I
time to
do.
share.
I want to say one more thing. Somebody had asked me why I wasn't doing club. And one of the things that I realized was, as I look back kind of, on my past of business, I don't look back to cry or whine. I look back to learn. And one of the things that I said was, because I realized what I was doing was not my heart's desire. And through it all, I realized that my heart's desire was taking beginner athletes and helping them to believe in themselves. My desire was not to take the best already athlete and go and win championships. That was never my desire. My desire was to take athletes that really didn't know anything about it and turn them into superstars. So, that's why I am where I am right now. And what has led me to creating the academy. So we have an academy. Kids are getting so much better in just a year of time, and it's been about 6 months. It's a certificate program, so we do have that going on, and we have our registration happening in January for 2026 summer. I also have a youth league going on for ages 9 to 14. We're going to have 4 teams, and they're going to be playing against each other, 225. Best 2 out of 3 games on Saturday mornings. They're also going to have practices.
And that's all part of the academy as well?
No, this is actually separate from the academy.
Okay.
So the kids can either do our academy, the league, or both. We have our Friday night trainings. I also do one-on-one competitive training.
What time is your Friday night training?
Friday nights right now is 6 to 8 p.m. Okay. That's until November 28th. But for any of our programs, you guys can look at the links below and click right there. And then what programs do you have going on? Do you have any that?
We don't. We right now for
You're
us.
full.
No, well, right now for us is just pretty much just looking for more kids to join our 8th grade team. But they gotta be pretty good. We got 2 8th grade teams. One has made a lot of progress. One is really a lot of kids who have a lot of experience. So we are looking to add to that.
But that's because you've invested a lot in these kids, right?
Yes, we've grown. I mean, I think we've grown in terms of where we are. That particular team is almost elite. So in terms of where they are. So yeah, they're an elite team. So I think it's like we said, the process, the consistency. So
yeah, you've been very consistent, Coach.
But like you said, the turtle, right? The turtle. Using the example of the turtle. So for me, I'm all because you got to run your race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's about running your race and also following your vision. Right, you gotta have a vision. That's why a lot of times people are they want to steal this. I don't care. You can steal everybody. There's McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King. They all took from each other. So, you feel me? But as long as you have your vision, nobody can take from your vision. You know what I'm saying? Because God has already have a design that people are waiting for your vision.
Oh man, they're always trying to take from me. They take my flyers for God's sake. But you know what? They can't mimic the Holy Spirit in us.
They can't.
And they can't mimic the creativity that God has given us. So we're always one step ahead.
And they're going to be copycats. It's not you can copy. There's nothing wrong with that. But because we all take a little piece here and there. But when you have a vision, you're following your vision in terms of where you're going. So for us, right now it's just trying to add more kids to our 8th grade team. Other than that, I think today, us kind of getting into Epic Sports Rex to be able to do this, I think this is just major growth in terms of that process. So I'm excited. It's always good to get in here to work with Coach to be able to bring you some information. But we definitely will have more information for you guys. Coach, I don't know if you want to say anything before we get out of here.
And the other link that you guys will see below is the link to our PMV Academy shop. We also have a link to our Passionate Motivation Volleyball store. Be sure to get yourself some gear. We have some top of the line gear, so you're going to want to check that out.
Subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, if you're trying to pretty much contact me, just pretty much anything Inspiring Through Sports at gmail.com. You can send me a message there, and I'll be able to respond and get back to you. Other than that,
yes, and you can contact me, info@passionatemotivationvolleyball.com, and both of us will get back to you within 24 hours.
Other than that, Coach, we're going to see them later. I'm going to see you next
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Of course. Joy in my chest like a Subway kid. Spirit in the sound, make the wall go slick. Told him I walk divine syntax. Grace been patched, I don't need no hacks. Laws like Zelda.